When I was 16 in my junior year of high school, I had 9 periods in a school day. Fifth period was lunch, and right after that, I had astronomy class. My astronomy class was actually held in one of the 2 basement classrooms of the school. My high school was huge. There were 3 floors, and even with all that space, there weren't enough rooms to accommodate all the classes being offered. So the school built 2 additional classrooms in the basement. The basement used to be a janitorial area, but it had been remodeled to look more like a typical school hallway. It was still kind of creepy down there, especially when no one else was around. The weirdest part about the basement classrooms was that there were no intercoms or loudspeakers down there at the time. Because of this, no classes were held in the basement first period when the morning announcements were made. Everyone referred to this small section of the basement as the chamber. It was a bit of an inside joke among students. Surprisingly, lots of people actually wanted to have their classes down there. Why? Because it was air-conditioned and the classes held in the basement were usually easier. Plus, the basement had its own bathroom, which was a rare luxury in school. On this particular day, we had a quiz in astronomy. I always finished my quizzes pretty fast because I found the class relatively easy. After I was done, I decided to text my friend JJ, who was in the other basement classroom, asking him to meet me in the bathroom because I was bored. JJ texted me back saying, okay, and so I got up, left the classroom, and walked down the small hallway to the bathroom. A few seconds later, the bathroom door opened and JJ walked in. We were goofing off for a while, just chatting, when JJ suddenly checked his phone. He looked up at me and said that someone texted him saying the school was going into lockdown. We both exchanged the same grins because neither of our teachers had seen us leave the classrooms. So technically, we now had free range of the school while it was on lockdown. We figured that as long as we stayed out of trouble, the worst thing that could happen is we'd just tell the teachers that we didn't hear the announcements in the basement. So we decided to sneak upstairs and take a look around the hallways just for the fun of it. But when we opened the basement door to the main floor, something immediately fell off. The lights in the hallways had been turned off, leaving everything almost pitch black, except for the faint light coming from the lobby doors. Normally, even during lockdowns, the hallway lights were left on, so this was pretty strange. We could tell something serious was going on, and suddenly we didn't feel as confident about exploring the school. JJ stepped out further into the hallway, and I followed him cautiously. As we walked, JJ stopped and whispered, "Who's that?" I looked in the direction he was pointing, and sure enough, emerging from the darkness, we saw a man. At first, we couldn't tell if he was a teacher or a staff member, but as he got closer, we quickly realized that this guy wasn't dressed like anyone who worked at the school. He was dressed more like a homeless person. His clothes were tattered and dirty. That was enough for me. "All right, let's go," I told JJ, and we both hurried back down the stairs to the basement. Whoever that man was, he had definitely seen us, and we didn't want to risk running into him again. When we reached the basement, both classrooms had their doors shut and the lights off, so we figured the best option was to hide in the bathroom. I quickly turned off the light, and we both went into the corner stall. The bathroom was eerily quiet. There was no ventilation, no heaters, no background noise at all. Just the sound of me and JJ trying to control our breathing and the occasional drip from the sink. Suddenly, the door to the bathroom opened, and light from the hallway briefly flooded into the room before the door shut again, plunging us back into darkness. The silence was deafening. We could hear the sound of footsteps entering the bathroom, slowly approaching the stalls where we were hiding. The person stopped right in front of the stall, and then we heard heavy, labored breathing like they were out of breath. I was terrified, and I could tell JJ was too. But then JJ did something stupid. He leaned over and whispered to me, "We have to crawl out through the other stalls." The problem was, the room was so quiet that even JJ's whisper seemed loud enough to be heard across the bathroom. Sure enough, the heavy breathing stopped. We heard the person press against the stall door, trying to open it. I leaned over and whispered to JJ, "Go, go." We both quickly crawled under the sidewall to the next stall, and then to the next one, until we finally reached the other side of the bathroom. As we were crawling, the person began banging on the stall door we had just been hiding in. It was now or never. We both jumped to our feet, opened the bathroom door, and as the light from the hallway poured in again, we saw the man from upstairs standing in the corner of the bathroom. We bolted out of there, ran straight to JJ's classroom, and started pounding on the door. His teacher opened it almost immediately, and we rushed inside. JJ was talking a mile a minute, explaining everything to the teacher. He mentioned seeing a gun sticking out of the man's pocket. I hadn't noticed a gun, but I went along with JJ's story anyway. Normally, in situations like this, our classmates would be laughing or joking around, but this time, everyone in the classroom looked genuinely concerned. Then, out of nowhere, there was a loud bang at the door. Everyone jumped, and a couple of girls in the class screamed. The teacher, JJ, and I could see the man standing at the door, looking through the window while trying the door handle. After a few more bangs, the man turned around and walked back down the hallway toward the stairs. We didn't know how much longer the lockdown lasted, but it felt like we were sitting in that classroom for over an hour in total silence. Occasionally, the teacher would ask me and JJ questions about what happened, shaking his head in disbelief at everything we told him. Eventually, the teacher got a call from someone upstairs, and he instructed all of us to file out of the classroom, walk up the stairs, and exit the building in a single file line. When we got outside, we were met by police officers. JJ and I did our best to describe the man to the cops and the dean. One of the officers patted me on the back, and we were sent home. After this incident, the school ramped up security and installed cameras all over the building. But oddly enough, the whole thing never got any media attention. To this day, I don't know if the police ever caught the guy, but I'm convinced that whoever he was, he had no other intention but to harm us in that bathroom stall.